Well, welcome to Werewolf Radar, an international version. Diving deep from one end of the world to the other, bunker to bunker communication.
Franchise bunker.
Franchised across the world. Pingos unite. Gather beneath your radars and celebrate this week's episode. I am Nate Balding.
I am Roger Norquist.
And we are down Jordan Dahl this week, and we are joined by our pal Jason Cordova.
Yes, hello, thank you.
Yes, coming to us from that bunker in Estonia, where the goings-on are getting way weirder. We are, of course, as always, brought to you by Monstroko brand Hellhound Training School. Did you commit the 7 dark deeds to produce a Cerberus only to find your demonic dog would rather slobber on an imposter bone than gnaw one out of the mailman's weak flesh? Monstroko Hellhound Training School will literally whip it into shape. In a few short classes, our trainers will take your puppy from playing fetch to committing heinous acts of perversion in the name of an eldritch god. Monstroko, what the...
I think I want to buy a Hellhound just so that I can access to this.
Enrolled in Monstroko's training school. Yeah, I think it's a good job. I'm glad to see Monstroko branching out to more pet-based. Pet-based. It's not really a product. I guess it's a service.
Service, yeah.
Well, what do you want to go first, or shall I?
I do, and here's why. Because apparently, a man is claiming that he was selected to introduce extraterrestrials to humans. And not the person you're thinking, which was that, what was his name? I want to say
Andrew
Jason
Basiago.
Asiago. What was his name?
Close enough. Andrew Basiago.
Andrew Basiago or something. So, in this segment, I'm going to title Man Claims He Was Selected to Introduce Extraterrestrials to Humans. We're going to learn about Michael Allens, a 45-year-old forklift truck driver.
That's exactly what I would have expected.
Just like a common man.
The beginning of my favorite episode of The X-Files.
Mysterious Universe is where I'm pulling this from, and you can follow the link in our Discord if you would like to read the parts that I kind of skip over. Because sometimes it happens. Sometimes articles aren't interesting. This is written by, of course, Paul.
Sometimes they're filled with vaccine misinformation.
Because Mysterious Universe is doing Mysterious Universe. This is from Paul Seaburn, vaccine denier. Man claims he was selected to introduce extraterrestrials to humans. In many alien invasion movies, the first scene is the extraterrestrials arriving on Earth. The initial plot twist occurs as humans try to figure out the best way to greet them, assuming that aliens haven't already attacked first. In the original The Day the Earth Stood Still, the ship was met by the U.S. Army, and a soldier shot Klaatu before he could deliver his message of peace and good. In 2000,
sending Gort into a rampage.
In 2016, when Arrival, another excellent alien invasion movie, was released, humans took a different approach. A linguist.
I'm glad that they couldn't find another example within like a 60-year span.
I would argue that Arrival's not an alien invasion movie so much as a contact.
Yep. For sure. I mean, I think he's going loose with it. He'd be like, they invaded. They landed. That's not how he sounds, of course.
It wouldn't be the first time Mysterious Universe was playing it loose.
And I don't think The Day the Earth Stood Still was an invasion exactly either. Like, they just landed, and then we were all like, I got you, bitch, and then shoot them.
Right.
Yeah.
Where am I? We got The Arrival, and seriously, if you haven't, check out the movie, and if you really like linguistic exercises in theory, read the book. With all, it gets trippy, okay?
It's written in 7 different alien languages. You have to decipher yourself.
The whole book's a palindrome. With all of the real UFOs being reported lately, there are probably great and not so great minds pondering how real humans will meet aliens. How do you think it should happen, I guess? Because I don't think we're going with it. We're going with this man is obviously our contactee, but what would we all like? I think I would like normal channels for my own comprehension of the universe. Like, please just meet our president, because I don't have time to deal with what you're throwing down and then work.
Actually, I would like a committee, actually. Like a
committee action.
Multinational, a congressional committee.
Yes.
Or
Nate?
UN.
I like the way they're doing it already, just by hybridizing reptiles into the human genome and slowly taking over from within.
Fair enough. So let's meet now Michael Allens, a 45-year-old forklift truck driver from Bolton in northwest England. This is probably why we have a lot of English followers.
Well, weird stuff
We
is
talk a
going
lot about
on
England.
in the Isles.
Dude, so much shit. You got such a small island, but a lot of stuff. So Michael Allens says that he is the designated greeter for when the aliens arrive.
I mean, if they give you the title designated greeter, that seems more like they're trolling you, right?
They gave him a vest.
You're our greeter. Yeah, we're not
But-
absolutely.
Very, very special.
some
It's a very
sort of tax
important
write-off.
role.
Yeah.
It's needed, and we don't know anything about the story truly right now, but a greeter is definitely needed. Like, what if the aliens can only, for whatever fucking reason, communicate with that one mind telepathically? Like, he's the only one that it syncs up. I don't know why. Don't look at me like that, Jason. But that's what happens. So
I may
I'm
have
following
an
you.
answer in my second.
So, like, he's just the greeter, Like, that's the only way it could happen. Like, for whatever reason, you got this 1 in fucking 7 billion, 8 billion chance. I gotta allow it.
Weirder things.
Weirder things, indeed.
Stranger, even.
Ooh, bit odd in it. That's the British version I learned about the other day.
Yeah, it sure did happen.
Obviously, he's already been informed of his selection, so he knows he's preparing for it, although it doesn't appear that the ET selected him right away. He told the Daily Star recently that his first contact...
They had to have like a Europe has talent thing and figure out which one is the most telepathic organelles.
He said that his first contact was as a young child when he felt something touching him while he was asleep, and he woke to find a gray alien in his room. This is a quote from him. As a young lad, I could not grasp what I had experienced. Originally, the things that had come to me in my room and called me to the garden must have been wildlife that I had not seen before.
So
And I mean, I think before I learned about aliens,
humanoid or
he said it was humanoid, but as a young lad, he just assumed that that was not the case.
Gotcha.
Where do I go now? Okay. That sounds like a scene right out of E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Thanks for writing all that out, Paul. When Elliot meets E.T. outside of the yard, and by default becomes the person who introduces the alien to his brother, sister, and friends. In fact, Michael Allens has his own E.T. connection. In the early 80s, I had a small action figure of E.T. When I was about 7 or 8, I placed that figure in my bedroom windowsill facing out toward my garden. I realized years later, after undergoing hypnotic regression, that I had deliberately put E.T. there for my nocturnal visitors. I had also found out that that it had the desired effect, and they had found the figure amusing.
It's how Mr. Greyfingers knew to come play roly-poly in my bedroom. If that is what qualifies you to be the designated greeter, boy, they must have had like how many millions of kids had E.T. figures in the early 80s?
A bunch. But this is like, I think, like the Dalai Lama selection situation. Like it could be anyone. But like only certain ones face the E.T. figure out towards the stars.
And from them they choose.
I'm glad that Roger is here to advocate for this guy.
I advocate for the stars. So, Alan claims his entire family was under consideration by this group of gray aliens long before he became the chosen one. He says his mother used to tell him stories of ghosts and bright lights. Later, he claims he was abducted. He saw himself a bright light that led him to believe his mother was also taken to a ship before him. There was also a family connection to aliens in the 2002 film Signs. See, he's bringing it all together.
Just any other movie featuring an alien, apparently. It's the theme.
Listen, Paul Seaburn needs 2,000 words, and he's gonna get them.
He's nailing it.
Is this the author is bringing in these movies or the witness?
The author is bringing in these movies. I'll be clearer about the quote. The quote of the 80s and the action figure was the actual contactee.
It was Michael Allen.
Yes. And then Paul Seaburn is bringing in anything he can to fill the words.
Tag words.
Exactly. He gets how the internet works.
His SEO is strong.
Dude, it's at least a 67. Allens also thinks that his alien may have been communicating with his pet cat Megan as well.
See, Megan. It was between Michael and Megan.
Yeah, like if we're gonna do this, so you think you can dance countdown. We're at the final two, and we have the cat Megan or Michael Allen,
The human boy.
I'm gonna go with the cat.
We'll see what the aliens do. I think we'll be pleasantly surprised.
I mean, honestly, I think they've been communicating with the cats this whole time. That's really
Seems accurate.
Another time, and this is Alan's now. Another time, I lay half woke in the middle of the night. I was only partially awake and somehow still dreaming. In my dream, I could see our cat, Megan. She was telling me that there was something in the garden and they wanted to speak to me. I vaguely remember climbing out of the bed and walking downstairs to see what she was talking about. I told Meg that there was no one there, but then she told me to look under the cherry tree at the bottom of the garden. I did as my cat told me, and I watched 2 gray aliens materialize in front of my eyes.
Yeah, that sold it for me. The cat as the witness. Yeah, it's rock solid now.
Rock solid.
I think you're right, though. I think the cat maybe had to recuse itself from being a designated greeter because it already knew. It was a
little step back.
yeah.
This is now the writing of Paul. While Allens has no photographs of the aliens who have chosen him to be their contact with humanity, he apparently has good memory and an artistic talent for drawing. A page of illustrations, see them here. That's right, my article comes with insane drawings.
As every article should.
And when you speak of the writings of Paul, I'm expecting a
An opossum.
reading. Yes.
So this is Michael Allen's, and I apologize for saying insane. That is just me not being able to truly comprehend what's going on here. It is very unbelievable to me. Which,
yes, no disrespect to.
yeah, no disrespect. I'm in awe of what's happening.
Mental health is a good thing.
Yes. So here are the aliens.
Oh, those are actually
Nice.
pretty good drawings.
He's got tall grays. He's got short grays. Grays with the like double brain thing going on. So this runs
That was
the
my
gamut.
favorite one. And these are some of the typical aliens. If you are a Dark Council member, listen to my interview with Sue Walker. And she is a contactee with the Ponti. And supposedly the gray aliens are the Ponti, including the gray aliens that abducted Betty and Barney Hill.
Yeah, and these are your classic Whitley Strieber type
Yes.
teardrop-headed grays.
I do enjoy the
Like,
double
so much
the
so, in
double-brained
fact-
one.
Yes, it looks like the cell in the menagerie from Star Trek, the original series, and the communion cover.
Oh. Ah! Quickly, I don't want to spread the virus. Only my computer will die. So that's the illustrations that you see. And truly, like I say every time, better artist than I'll ever be.
It's actually, yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not good at drawing arms. And a alien hand, I can't even master a human hand. So, like, bravo to you. So there we go. We saw a variety of typical gray alien heads. Or as Sue Walker would say, Ponti heads. While they all seem to have a standard almond-shaped eyes, they're split between the regular large round head, as we said, the peach-shaped head, and the one with the crease down the middle. The Star interview also shows a praying mantis-type insectoid. That's when I started to get the internet infection.
Right.
I'm glad that I cut it down before we all got it.
Invasion by the mantids.
Yep.
Yeah, you just tripped one of the signal.
And there was a brown alien with a creased head and a odd brown outer garment that resembled a monk's robe.
That one's Gorox. We don't talk about him.
And now
Also,
we got
Whitley Strieber.
that Seaburn salt. In fact, this robed ET looks very similar to the aliens from Mars Attacks.
Disturbingly so.
This is now from Michael Allen's. But I eventually realized that I had been chosen, and there was a very clear campaign by the visitors to get to me. Paul Seaburns, a clear campaign is another common plot twist in alien movies. Contact starts with a signal from another planet picked up by a SETI scientist who was inspired to enter the field by her father. Also, Jake Busey.
Who you can hire very cheaply for whatever you want.
For
He will show up
whatever
even
you
if there's
want.
not a project.
The man needs
Bring him
work.
to a barbecue.
If you got $50, think about hiring Jake Busey for your barbecue. Another family connection. The movie Contact.
Related to Gary Busey?
Gary
Yep.
Busey's son, yeah.
No way.
Allen's refers. I'm glad we taught you that. That's what this show's about. Teaching people facts they did not know before. Sometimes about the paranormal, sometimes about,
Often
still the
about Jake
paranormal.
Busey.
Yeah, the Busey family. Allen refers to the ETs as both aliens and visitors, but doesn't let us know which they prefer.
Okay,
When they
he's
finally-
solidly in Whitley Strieber. have any of you read like the sequels to Communion, Transformation, and
I have not.
third one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the second one, Transformation, goes into like depth about like his it gets a little bit more existential, and there's a lot of like stuff with screen memories and cats. in particular.
Okay.
And by the time he gets deeper into his own mythology, he's solidly referring to them as visitors. He's not convinced that they're aliens, even today now. He refers to them as visitors because he's not 100% sure that they're aliens.
All right.
In that they might be Earthlings, or does that? Or am I misunderstanding everything here? And it's like a being that I can't comprehend right now.
Right. Yeah, it's like an incomprehensible, almost like a deification kind of thing.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, I mean, what they probably call science is very much magical to me, and I'm putting my own science term on it, and I'm sure it's even something way beyond what I call science. In some occasions. I still believe Bigfoot's got an invisible ship. I think Bigfoot's working nuts and bolts ships out there. But that's my own belief.
It's not just your belief.
On one occasion, Allens says that he woke up in the early hours completely paralyzed. I could see the blue light under my bedroom door and shadows in the hall. The last thing I remember was seeing 3 gray aliens, and the lead gray thrust his hand upon my face. Paul C. Burns writes, "Keep your hands to yourselves, aliens."
That's my purse. No.
Yes, a lot of consent issues with Grays.
Alan says, the dad who has banned his wife from talking about aliens in the house. That's a weird quote to have there. I just wanted to bring that out.
It's just constantly, come outside real quick. I just have to say one thing.
And that is the incomplete tale, because his journey goes on.
Ongoing, yeah.
Of Michael Allen's, humanity's alleged contactee with extraterrestrials.
And I imagine we'll be hearing a lot more from him very soon.
Of course we will. He's the contactee. He's going to have to get official clearance for the White House and whatever the British people call the White House and whatever the Russian people call the White House and the Chinese people. They all have White Houses, Jordan. I'm Nate.
Yeah. So I think doing a whole White House tour is in the future for Michael Allens.
But that's my tale. I found it interesting. I thought it was neat. It kind of rose above all the other news out there. Had some nice flavor. Always surprised to see Paul C. Burns on his own website,
A very rare occurrence.
He's not their most prolific writer.
We'll jump to the next thing, unless you've got...
I don't have an addendum. I had all that fun there. Oh, I did have a Twitter poll that ended on the Werewolf radar.
We have to get to this.
We have to get to it just a little bit because it's fun. So, with a total of 17%, I asked, it's Friday night, date night. Who's your date? The options were werewolf, ghost, vampire, and alien. Last place was 17% werewolf.
Right. Well, werewolf is a wild card. You don't know what's going to happen on your date with a werewolf. You could be having dinner one second, next second they're leaping through the front window, just scaring the shit out of some children, chasing after a car. You don't know what's going to happen there. So I get it.
Fair. Number 3, vampire.
Yeah, they want to take too much from you. They want they're not just a blood suck, but a time suck and a mind suck. So overall, not a great date.
They had 24% at number 2nd place with 28%. We have ghost.
sure if you can track them down. How often do they show up to their events, though?
I know you get ghosted on a date, right?
Yeah.
Like by definition, you might get stood up.
And
But I think-
go on.
No, I think I think it's kind of problematic, right? Like all these are, I mean, maybe it's just me. I'm kind of open to the individual, right? Like a werewolf, like it's all generalizations.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, and maybe you want the bad boy, or
There's
the
nothing
scary
wrong with choosing werewolf. You just got last place in this poll.
Right. Yes. No shaming for your preferences.
But those freaks who chose first place, you freaky freaks. Alien with 31%.
Now, see, I get Alien. Alien's super chill. You know that they have their own transpo. They're definitely middle class to upper class, probably, if they're rocking a spaceship. And they're always asking questions about you. They're interested in what makes you tick, literally.
And I'm fascinated. This is a good reflection of what this says about the Pingos too.
Overall, even. Sometimes we do polls to where it's like, no, this one. And this time it's all like, you know what? We're kind of torn.
Yeah.
If this was a primary election poll, all of you could debate. You're all invited to the podiums.
It'd go to a runoff.
Oh, it would. This is for later. We'll do runoff polls when we have more time and we get more Dark Council members. But anyway, that's all of my segments. I have nothing more. Thank you to the new subscribers on YouTube and Patreon Dark Council members and people who took the poll. Appreciate it.
Yes, we always enjoy interacting with you, the Pingos in the world. Well, let's jump over to the next subject. How much do you guys know about Project Camelot?
A little.
All right.
None.
Well, because there's two Project Camelots. One, the real one, from 1964, whose actual name is Methods for Predicting and Influencing Social Change and Internal War Potential, which was basically a sociological propaganda arm for the military intended to stop counterinsurgencies to, I guess, just U.S. imperial goals. It was canceled in 1965, but then maybe continued basically forever. You decide if millions of U.S. imperialist actions are part of a global astroturfing project or just face out economic warfare. But this is not that Project Camelot. This Project Camelot is a website mostly run by a woman named Carrie Cassidy that examines all the conspiracies from both Earth and outside of Earth and catalogs them to uncover what's actually going on with literally any subject. Pick anything. They'll tell you what it's really about and how it's about destroying or enslaving humanity. And I don't necessarily recommend getting into it, but if you do...
What's her name?
Carrie Cassidy.
Oh my God, the website's beautiful. I found it.
Oh, yeah. And if you really want to get into it, I recommend doing so by finding the 2016 album they put out, Rebel Gene. You can find it on Bandcamp.
Oh my God.
It's completely ridiculous. Actually, you know what? It's not a terrible album.
Guys, we make enough to do a text ad. Do you want to advertise on Project Camelot portal?
Oh, I don't know. They've got some pretty bad politics.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. I can't wait.
So this specifically, I mean, there's tons of stuff to look at, but I got into an interview with a guy named Solomon Berg, who's an anthropologist who was conscripted into the military, where he is risen to, he's a major in the Marines at this point, as well as he was on Mars for a while.
Nice, with Barack and shit?
No, amazingly.
Jason, if you don't know...
Pegasus. That was Pegasus.
Yeah.
Okay, then you know about it. You know about Barack's time.
Yeah,
this
which is
Project Pegasus.
Which is impressive that they never ran into the Montauk Boys.
Yeah, you would think all these people who have been to Mars probably in the same areas. I can't imagine that there's that many Martian bases. Or maybe
and
there are.
going back in time to try to kill Jesus and make the Antichrist.
Yeah. All
Listen
kinds
to
of-
a past episode. I think it was the last week's episode we talked about, or the
last
week before.
Grave Nugget.
Okay, so become a Dark Council member because basically the Grave Nugget is insane. Barack is going to Mars and other things.
Yes. This
Tangled.
this dude Solomon Berg, I would think this guy actually might have been the point person for the aliens, if not Andrew Basiago, to make contact with the world, because he's definitely friends with some of these guys. Here's some things that will. I listened to a long interview, took some notes. I'm just going to kind of run through the notes a little bit. Some things you have to know about the Pleiadians or the Pleiadian Alliance.
Of course.
If you've never heard of them, they're basically the interstellar good guys, most often. They're usually the tall humanoids that, get confused with angels in a lot
I'd like
of
to point out,
stories.
white as fuck. Most of these are very racist things.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah. It's
Aryan
they're-
poster children.
Yeah.
I'm also just hurt because they don't like my reptilian boys.
They do not. That's the other thing that's going to get thrown around is the
That's me saying hello to them.
The Dracos and the Draco Alliance, considered the bad guys. These
Them
are
my
reptile
boys.
monsters. They're enslavers. You're vril types, though they're
I got
not clear
snorked,
here.
okay?
Indeed, you did. I'm not sure if the Draco Alliance actually includes the Vril, or if the Vril are specific to the innards of the Earth. But that's where they are. The Dracos are also. These are the reptoid part of the Draco Alliance hierarchy are the ones who invade planets by hybridizing with the natives of that planet and taking them over that way. And they also make mention of the Greys, which, unlike the Greys in the previous story, these are a mercenary force hired by pretty much anybody in the universe. There's like the short ones. Solomon Berg seems to think that the shorter ones might actually be like bio-organic creatures, some sort of cyborg aliens.
Like
The taller ones,
humanity,
right?
kind of, with pacemakers. That's what we're talking.
Exactly. So let's get into Solomon Berg a little bit.
Also, are
like
you
I said-
saying that we can hire a brigade of
100%. But you have to
with
be able to
Gary
pay them
Busey for
something.
our barbecue?
Yeah, duh. Why wouldn't you?
Jake Busey, come on down with the reptoids.
Yeah, bring on the Busey. So, like I said, Solomon Berg was a Marine. He had planned on going to the Marines anyway. However, in his senior year of high school, he was recruited. He was going to go into ROTC, but right before that, he was contacted by a man named Al. Now, it sounds like I'm saying Al, like AL, short for Albert. No, AOWL. That's this guy's name. This is some dude who he's never met in person, but who has found him multiple times throughout his life to get him on board with various alien projects. Al said that his test scores were so good in high school that they were just going to bring him into the Marines and start training him to become a Martian soldier. But he's a Martian anthropologist. So he's got a
So he's
a
good at
degree in it.
linguistics. He's good at cultural,
All that.
societal things.
Yeah, all of that stuff. So he went into the Marines concurrently with his college. He went to Temple University. That's where he published, or he attempted to publish, a variety of papers about his telepathy projects that he'd been working on. Temple obviously didn't want that, but he did have friends in Project Black Kraken. That was the group that was organizing all of these trips to Mars for these Marines. So Black Kraken got him involved in a bunch of stuff. So he did. Let's begin to his time on Mars. This goes back to 2010. So before he goes to Mars, because he's a Marine, he's never actually seen, like, he was never deployed at all, really. But he was present for 2 different Stargate incidents, one in Baghdad in 2014 and one in Kabul in 2016. And this is why he knows about the Greys, because the Greys invaded from the Stargates that they uncovered at the dig sites at both of those cities. And they showed up. The Greys had power armor. He says that they didn't know that the Greys had power armor until they showed up. So the one in Baghdad, they fought them off there. And then later, when it happened in Kabul, him and his unit were brought to investigate what was going on there as well. Here's an interesting thing that you find out. He talked about when he was 18 and he got pulled into Black Kraken. They showed him the real Roswell footage, so he knew about the Greys because they had Greys, but they didn't have the military Greys, who were the mercenaries who they found at the Stargates.
You make hold up. What year was this? When he was in Baghdad?
That was 2000 or 2004. Sorry, I said 14 and 16. I meant 4 and 6.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just thinking more recently.
So this is like right before, at the start of the Iraq War?
So yes. Right after the invasion and the beginning of occupation.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2003 is the start. So this is like mid.
Yeah. And, and Kabul could be any time in the last 20 years, basically.
This could all have been in the last 20 years without me finding a reference for the Iraq War. Is this possibly, my brain goes to what happened at the Dulce underground base?
It is exactly that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go on.
Same. No. It's the same. He wasn't part of the Dulce base thing, but what happened at Dulce base is essentially what happened at the Baghdad and Kabul Stargates.
Expanded universe.
Yes. So anyway, these Greys, they are the mercenary Greys, which they're not named anything except the Greys. So we don't know if they're part of a specific group or planetoid of gray aliens, but they are hired typically by either the Guardian Alliance, that is which includes humankind, or and is more part of the Pleiadians.
I'm going with the boys on this. I think they're the bad guys.
All right. Well, the Luciferian Alliance is the other one, and that's the reptiles. And the reptiles also have
Luciferians and wild.
Yeah, them my boys.
And these are the 2 factions in the galaxy that are constantly struggling between light and dark. That's how they put it.
Very Jedi.
It's almost like everything could have been picked up in a movie at some point,
or a couple different ones, and all meshed together.
Perhaps even a treatment for a series of books.
It's very possible. Anyway, so Solomon Berg, because he was involved in both of these Stargate incidents, and because he'd already been in this like kind of starseed type program that Al had introduced him to, eventually they're like, look, we're going to bring you into Black Kraken and we're going to send you to Mars. And he's like, okay, cool. Sounds great. So
this is after facing Greys already, right?
Yes.
You get to retire, man. Like, war is unnecessary, I feel, and like you're forced to do it. And like after you fight the Greys in their mech suits, man, like fucking retire. Like just demand to leave service.
He was there in a liaison capacity, so he didn't personally battle the Greys. But he was there.
This is his choice, fair. I mean, it's just I would not do it after facing them even auxiliary fashion.
As a Marine to negotiate.
I mean, he's part of the science division, basically. There's more of a like, I guess, the intelligence side of the Marines.
How many Marines do you know personally?
My grandpa was an engineer
6,
Marine, and he didn't do stuff. He did a lot of bridge building, which is necessary for things.
Right.
right?
He was not the Marine that went in first.
Well, the thing about my Marines that I know are all they have their main job, right?
Sure.
And then they're still
Right.
Marines.
Yeah.
Then you're also a Marine,
Right.
not Solomon Berg and his unit.
Okay.
Just wondering if a story checks out. I think we're good so far.
Yeah, just checking that, and also the fact, having been in the Navy myself in Iraq, and I know that the Stargate was actually in Fallujah, not Baghdad.
Gotcha.
Oh, the true files.
Just a minor, little, it's fine.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm happy to send an angry letter. This is bullshit. So they bring him into Black Kraken. He comes back to the States. That's where Black Kraken is mainly based. Well, they're interstellar, but you gotta their spaceships, their FTLs. Those are mostly.
It's like 7-Elevens.
Southwest United States.
7-Elevens are everywhere, but like they're headquartered in Japan.
Yeah. So he takes one of the Kraken ships to Mars, where he spends a year on the surface in the Cydonia area. You probably know the site. The most famous thing about Cydonia is the face on Mars,
And
right? That's
the pyramids.
supposed to be. Yeah, the pyramids. There's a whole civilization that was there at one point, wiped out by years and years, maybe millennia of constant battle, which is what destroyed the surface of Mars. So he was basically there as I guess, exo-anthropologist. I don't know.
I think you're close.
Something like that. Working on archaeological dig sites. The grid he was on, he studied mostly artifacts. He had a research assistant who is to this day with him, Master Sergeant Daniel Jordan. They were mostly combing the area just for debris left by ancient Martian soldiers. And when he says Martians, he's not necessarily talking about the Martian species, but Martian nationals. Because long ago, when Mars was it was this massive cosmopolitan cultured world, people would come there from around the solar system, around the galaxy, really, probably, and just hang out. It was, it's the Manhattan of this star system.
A pleasure planet, if you will. I forgot what it was called in Star Trek, but like a nice place.
Yeah, a good place to go. So a lot of people hanging out. There were Martian soldiers that were often human transplants from ancient Earth. This is during like the Atlantean rule era. So the Atlanteans would send their humans, their Atlantean humans, and then the Atlanteans controlled all the early primitive human groups, who were they were, as they were expanding their minds and turning them into what we would sort of consider ourselves now. Those people would also be sent to Mars just to hang out, to be part of, I guess, groups of being the service of Atlanteans up there. So what Berg goes on to talk about is that when you're doing archaeology, mainly you're looking at people's trash, right? It's stuff that was left behind. So he's talking about digging through latrines, dump sites. He's seeing soldiers' trash. He talks about one artifact specifically that he smuggled home.
Nice.
Yeah. It was a stone pipe that he says, and this is nearly verbatim, appears to have been carved by a teenage human conscript in the army of Mars, used to smoke a Martian psychoactive herb, tossed out of a tent before a senior officer could catch him. I bet you're wondering, how does he know all that? Well, they did work with remote viewers who could get visual impressions. They also analyzed the substance in there. He forced Daniel Jordan, his master sergeant and underling, to smoke some of it, and that guy to see what would happen. Presumably nothing, because it was like a 5,000 or I don't know, however many millions of years old.
Yeah. For example, if we're talking like THC, the half-life of THC is 6 months. So after a couple thousand, like, it can still be there, but it's no longer psychoactive.
Yeah,
Did you say whether or not he deployed to Iraq?
Well, he was there as a cultural liaison. He didn't say like specifically what he was doing. Just that that was where he was when the Stargate incident happened, and he was present wherever they were doing the dig that found the Stargate.
And definitely not carving stone pipes.
No.
Disposing of them to avoid getting caught by his superior officers.
Yeah, no. If we get a psychometric image of what was happening over there, it would not be something as really specific as that.
I like this as a different take on that meme of anthropologists, to where it's ritualistic purposes, but the purpose of this just straight up is he was getting high.
Yeah. Kid was getting stoned, and someone was gonna come by and stop it from happening, and he was like, shit, tossed it out. He did talk about his time on Mars. This was kind of interesting to me. He says that Mars actually has a variable climate, something we've never seen with our telescopes, I guess.
And no, we supposedly have seen it with some of our telescopes. Early on, we thought we saw seasons on Mars, and like trees and stuff shift. Like, we have some weird telescope photos from back in the day to go like, there's trees on Mars. I see them. The weather's changing.
He actually says there is some plant life on Mars. It's very sparse, but it is there. There are things growing on the surface currently, especially in regions like Cydonia, where apparently it's very comfortable. He says that he didn't even have to use much gear to be outside working in Cydonia. He didn't have a spacesuit. He just had like a little breathing filter that wasn't even giving him oxygen. You can breathe there. He says that he found glyphs in ancient texts that give us a good idea of what happened on Mars during the millennia of war.
Okay.
We know that there was a prominent human faction on Mars under the leadership of a person named Chrysalix, who was half human and half Anunnaki hybrid.
Nice. The Anunnaki are now here.
Oh, the Anunnaki are all over this thing.
Adapa is what the...
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Chrysalix he got a top leadership position on ancient Mars, and apparently was part of the problem because he was stoking resentment between two other non-human species who were claiming that they were Martian natives, although Berg believes that perhaps they were not really a native to Mars. They had just been there for enough generations that they decided they must be. Mm-hmm. One of those is an insectoid race called the Trogs. When he says insectoid, he doesn't mean like mantids. This isn't like giant full-on insects. These are like an unnatural experimental species. And the way he describes them is, imagine a deformed human like a caveman on one side, and the other side is an insect. Right, like right down the middle, like human eye, insect eye, human arm, crazy bunch of other weird, exoskeletal ripping arm. They all lived in the tunnels. And then there was a reptilian species. He referred to them. He said they could loosely be called a Draco subspecies. These are like, if you consider, he says, the Draco imperatives of genetic purity, these would be like the cast-off Dracos, the ones that weren't good enough to stay. The kind that maybe were even sent to Earth to try and become the reptoid hybrids here, because they weren't good enough to live in the actual Draco alliance.
This got eugenist real fast.
Yeah, it did. The Draco Alliance is apparently heavy into it.
All right, I'm taking it back. I don't think I'm as much into the Luciferian Alliance as I once was.
There are other people in the Luciferian Alliance, all kinds of other species and planets.
Yeah, but I don't think I want to be associated with. But, anyway, go on.
Yeah, no, I don't think you should. Honestly, I don't think anyone should be associated with any of these intergalactic alliances.
We all have to choose someone to say hello to. That's what my segment was. Okay, it's coming.
Anyway, they were all beneath Chrysalix, they called him the supreme technocrat. on Mars at the time. And he was basically starting a civil war between these two species. That was part of the bigger galactic conflagration that was going on.
How long ago was this?
This was millions of years ago, I think. He says it's millenniums ago.
Gotcha.
Millennia ago.
So this is like when we were.
This would be this is
when
like
Homo
when
species were finally learning to walk upright, almost.
Well, this is Atlantean era on Earth.
So it's only like 11,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say at most 40,000 years ago.
Okay, then yeah, it's that time. He talks about
because
how
a millennia is just 1,000 years. That's my bad.
1,000 years. Yeah. But I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I mean, Mars has been desolate for, well, I guess if we're talking millennium, it's 11,000 years old.
I mean, yeah, that's more than enough time for shit to be erased. We know from our own history.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But not a stone pipe full of a psychoactive substance.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Now, again, to be clear, our Marine guy is going from Iraq to Mars through the Stargate, right?
No. They actually have the Kraken, Black Kraken has their own ships. And he talked about those a little bit. They have an FTL drive. He specifically says they're not identical to the Orion class or Radiant Guardian type ships. They're a smaller design, more like armored troop transports. They have a fusion pulse drive for sub light speed flight, and then they've got a FTL drive, a faster than light scalar loop formation drive. It's a scalar wave generator which approximates a localized wormhole.
Dude, that's the only way it can work. Like, if we can go fast like that, it has to be ripping new holes in time and space so we can travel through it. Or not travel through it, but I guess, touch and be like, oh, I'm here now.
Yeah, no, this is basically direct teleportation with the Black Kraken scalar loop wave generators. So yeah, that's how he traveled to and from Mars. He says also because he's been to other places on the planet and also on Earth where like even he didn't have clearance for it. So they have other types of ships. He would sometimes be like blindfolded and be like put on these ships and taken to other bases, which were run oftentimes by other alien species. So Mars has a whole bunch of different research bases, apparently. Even they also have other bases that are being run by different humans. Like there's a giant, apparently German base on Mars. And
what type of German?
Wait, I thought the Nazis were on the moon.
Well, here's the thing. This is most likely these Germans are the German Nazis who escaped to Antarctica and started building the ships there using stolen alien technology. And those are the Germans that made it to Mars. And they're, I guess, not Nazis now. But they were when they went to Antarctica fleeing the fall of the Reich.
So what you're saying is that they would still be Nazis if they didn't lose.
I guess so. I mean, I assume that's the case for all of them, though, right?
Like, I get it. They can't technically be Nazis unless they actually lived under the official regime.
Yeah, but this is they were Nazis before. I mean,
Now they're their own thing.
Yeah, they're their own German
UFO
nationalists because they're all Germans at this base on Mars.
German Martian nationalists.
Yeah. But that's who's up there on Mars, and he was up there for a year doing work doing this mostly archaeological stuff, and then he eventually came back. He went back to the temple. He started doing the same studies that he was doing before, which it turns out are mostly in telepathy. So he was. What he's found is apparently that humans have the ability, because we have a corpus callosum. That's the middle part of your brain, the divide between them, all the stuff that connects the left and right sides. That's the corpus callosum, right? Apparently, he believes in there that we have telepathic organelles that you can, when stimulated, will allow you to telepathically speak to, or telepathically, not even necessarily speak, just like fully engage with any placental mammal. So anything that has a placenta, you can have psychic conversations with.
Even kangaroos?
No, that's the thing. They don't, because marsupials, he says, have more of a reptoid brain, and their corpus callosum, if they have one, doesn't work the same way. He specifically says that he spent hours and hours trying to talk to kangaroos.
The very fact that he has an answer for what I thought was a random question makes me believe everything a lot more.
Fully
like
in there,
just
man.
dead on, right? Like,
yep.
Is this man also a prophet of the future? Should we be following him?
No, he's the prophet of the now.
It is a weird coincidence.
He started out experimenting with telepathic conversations with his cat named Nob. And that progressed to lab tests, where he's communicated with chimps and pigs and dolphins.
Nice.
And that's where he found a hard limit to what he can talk to, and that's where he uncovered the fact that it has to be a placental mammal. So like birds, he's never been able to talk to. Even the very, very smart birds, they don't seem to be able to telepathically communicate with the same way that we do, presumably because all these animals have that same basic organelle in the nuclei of the cells of the corpus callosum or whatever. He also says any evolutionary offshoot of something that's had a corpus callosum still has those like atavistic organelles.
But marsupials are too close related to reptiles.
To reptiles, yes, or their brains are, is what he says.
It always comes back to mammalian reptile.
Yeah. So, which is also why, if you ask him if he's talked to a lot of other alien races, it turns out no, because a lot of them don't, have the same kind of inner functions, and they evolved from something much different.
Egg boys.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, are we leading to him is he laying the groundwork for a cult?
Well, I don't think he is personally, although, I mean, he does his unit is with him.
Not a good sign.
They're, he's sort of an outlaw figure because of what happens that I'm gonna have to get to next week, I think.
And we're doing a part
with
2.
The continuation of this, yeah. Because we're coming up on the hour.
It's a good question right now that you did bring up. I mean, this is, for me, I see it leaning cultish.
Like he could take it that direction.
Yes.
If he wanted.
That's how I read some of this too. Like there's big door open for that.
Well,
not him, one of his followers.
But I can definitely give you a more enticing reason to join his cult, and that's because
you just called it a cult. See, we win. Well,
when the cult arises, as it must, as it always will.
Kind of seems inevitable.
Yeah.
So, some point in 2017, Owl contacts Solomon Berg again, because Berg has been sending all of his research to Black Kraken, can't get published in the real world. Academia he says that he's been called a laughingstock multiple times throughout this interview.
Dude, I hear you, man. That's why we have a Patreon where I publish my work. No one wants me, so I just give it to those who want it.
Academic scrutiny, it's so hard.
Yeah, his peer reviews just kept coming back covered in just red pen, slashing out entire pages. At some point in 2017, the U.S. military captured an entity in the Pacific Northwest, and they thought the best person to, come and study this entity was going to be Solomon Berg. And turns out, what did they capture? It's the Pacific Northwest. Of course, they've captured a Sasquatch.
Oh, that would have been crazy if it was Nessie.
I was hoping it would be like a twist.
No, it's unfortunately exactly what you think it is.
So you're saying next week we're gonna have captured?
Oh, we're gonna get into so much stuff, new stuff about the Sasquatches, about the Squatches actually is what they prefer to be called, and that's not a name so much as it's a title. We're gonna learn about Squatch. He's a young, barely 300 years old. Squatch, which is just approximately just one guy who's been captured. There are more out there, but that's when we'll get to the juice inside of this beautiful Squatch fruit on next week's edition. In part 2 of I don't know. Is it a Berg? It's a plane. I don't know. Something better.
Well, that was an awesome cliffhanger. I literally can't wait. I'll take us out, Nate. Jason, thank you for being here, filling in for Jordan this week. Really appreciate it. Think about coming back next week on air so we can wrap up this whole saga.
Sure. If Jordan's still trapped in the desert and I am still able to access this abandoned Soviet bunker here in Estonia.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed all around. Although if Jordan does make it, which we want, we can go 4-person.
Yeah.
True.
If you like what we did here on this episode and are still listening all the way through, give us a review/rating on Spotify, Apple Podcast, any of it. Thank you for everyone who's rating us on Spotify. That's really helping as well. Find new people for ears, or for finding new ears for our podcast to enter. And check us out on the Twitter. Say hello. We just did a poll that we feel was awesome. We found out what you all want, and it's aliens, you freaky freaks. And then what else, Nate? There's
no
Twitch.
Shame.
There's Twitch. Yeah, no shame. No
Twitch,
shame.
Yeah.
Well, I voted werewolf, so no shame.
I also went werewolf. Apparently, I mean, I guess we, from the title of our show, you would think
We have to go werewolf every time.
For us.
Twitch.tv
Twitch.tv/werewolf_radar. We are playing games every Monday, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, or I think you can probably watch it.
You can watch the VODs by being a follower.
Yeah.
If not, use those Bezo bucks. Give us Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe and watch, I think, all of our videos. It's free for you, too.
Yeah, check out the Patreon if you like it.
Patreon.com/werewolfradar. That's the best way to support us.
Always solid. Go to werewolfradar.com if you just want to find random new stuff that we post there. Twitter at werewolfradar. Always open. We value any input from the pingos out there. We want to hear more from you all the time. The more people talking to us, the better. The more interaction we can have, the better the show will get, and the more fun we can have.
TikTok?
No, then I'd have to do
have
something else. Nate, you're in charge of the TikTok.
All right, so I'll get on the TikTok. We'll do.
Jordan has a TikTok.
He does, but that's more for his video games. I have the official Werewolf Radar done. Like, it's all there waiting for us.
How about I'll start Mibs of TikTok, Men in Black of TikTok.
Ooh.
All right, send me the pictures, and I'll just put it with like some weird music. And that'll be the whole TikTok is just something of TikTok. Men in Black of TikTok, the Greys of TikTok, the Reptilians of, we got it all. It goes on. The Hatmen of TikTok.
Yeah, if we can get back into witch talk.
Dude, we can get back into witch talk. And if you like, let's say, I don't know, documentaries about witches, narrative films about witches, plus documentaries about Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts, all sorts of things. Check out 14filmfestival.com. We're judges in that. Judging is happening in September, so check out all the films there, trailers and everything. Some of them are already streaming. So watch them if you can, but there's so many films. I interviewed Jason Kenzie, who is a Bigfoot researcher. We also had Tony Hipwell, who directed the film with his co-directors, and that film is Zomblogalypse. We had them on, and it was a blast. Check out that film. It's about making a film, and I can't speak anymore. I'm losing my voice.
It is about
a
apocalypse.
Yep. It is about making a film in the zombie apocalypse, and was a joy. Plus so many other films. There's like 200 films that were entered in several different categories. And that is 14filmfestival.com, and I think that really does it. Thank you, new patrons who joined the Dark Council. Shout outs to you. Check out Patreon and check out those interviews we mentioned, plus all the other stuff we give away, fiction. 3-month subscribers get merch, all of it. You know about it. You're now a Dark Council member. And I think that now leaves us with our sign-off
our
line.
Signature sign-off.
Lead us, Nate.
It's on the count of 3. And then we shall see what it will be. 1, 2, 3.
Punch the sky, Spaceman Joe.
Spaceman Joe.
Sound designed by Blue Blanket Sound. Contact them at hello@blueblanketsound.com or www.blueblanketsound.com.